The cold night, the night was darker than any human eye could imagine. On this alien world, the stars gave little light, and the moons were hidden behind thick clouds. The wind howled like a hungry beast, carrying with it the bitter cold that cut through skin, flesh, and bone. In the middle of this endless night, an alien mother crouched on the hard ground. Her arms wrapped tightly around her small child, who trembled and whimpered softly. The mother's body was weak, her strength nearly gone, but her eyes never closed. Fear and love kept her awake. The child's breaths were short, uneven, and filled with pain. His skin was pale, his lips almost blue. The mother pressed the child closer to her chest, trying to give him her own warmth. But she had nothing left, no shelter, no fire, no clothes thick enough to fight the cold. Her clothes were already torn from many days of struggle. Every gust of wind bit her skin, but she did not move. She could not. The child needed her. For hours, she had searched for wood, for stones, for anything that could start a fire. But this land was empty. Only sharp rocks and frozen ground stretched for miles. There was no fuel, no tree, no help. The mother looked down at her child again. His small hands clutched her, but his strength was fading. Her heart ached. She had nothing left to give, and then she made a choice. Her fingers shook as she tore a piece of cloth from her own clothing. She gathered the fabric into a small pile. With trembling hands, she struck two stones together. At first, nothing happened. Again and again she tried. Her hands bled from the sharp edges, but she did not stop. Finally, a spark leaped into the air. It caught the cloth. A tiny flame was born, weak but alive. The mother bent low, blowing gently, her breath soft but steady. The flame grew. She tore more of her clothes and fed the fire. The warmth rose slowly, wrapping around her child like an invisible blanket. For the first time that night, the boy's breathing steadied. The mother sighed in relief, though her own body now shivered violently. Without her clothes, the cold bit deeper into her skin. Her body burned with the pain of freezing, but her child was safe at least for now. Her mind drifted to memories. She thought of brighter days when their home was warm, filled with laughter and food. She remembered the child's first steps, his first smile. That memory gave her strength. The fire flickered. She added another strip of fabric. Her last layer of clothing was now almost gone. She did not care. The wind screamed louder. Shadows moved in the distance. The mother tensed, pulling her child closer. Were those predators? Or was it only her tired eyes playing tricks? The child stirred weakly, his small voice whispering. She pressed her forehead to his, whispering back in her own language. Words of comfort, words of love. Words that promised survival even if she was not sure she could keep that promise. Minutes turned into hours. The fire grew smaller, but she had nothing left to burn. Her body was bare now, her skin covered with scratches and frost. Her teeth chattered, but she held her son tightly. Her eyes lifted to the sky. The clouds shifted for a moment, and one moon shone through. Pale silver light touched the land. For a heartbeat, the mother felt hope, but hope was fragile. The fire was dying. The child's breathing was slowing again. Her heart broke. Tears froze on her cheeks as she whispered, "Not yet. Please, not yet." Her body shook, but she stayed strong. She rocked her child gently, humming a soft melodia lullaby from her people. The sound was thin, trembling in the cold air. The night stretched endlessly. Silence pressed down, broken only by the crackle of the small fire. The mother's eyes grew heavy, but she forced herself awake. Sleep would mean death. And then something changed in the distance. Through the veil of wind and darkness, she saw a light. A faint glow moving slowly across the frozen land. Her heart leaped in fear and wonder. Was it a beast? Was it death coming closer? Or was it hope? The light grew brighter. The mother held her child tighter. Her breath quickened. She had no strength left to run. She could only wait. The fire was nearly gone now. The night was colder than ever. But in that moment, in the middle of despair, the light kept coming, and the story of survival was only beginning. The stranger in the shadows, the cold night, stretched on, endless and cruel. The alien mother sat near the dying flame, her child clutched tightly in her arms. Her body was bare, her skin burning with frost. Yet her spirit still held strong for her child. She would endure anything. The fire had become nothing more than glowing embers. She had no more cloth to burn. Each breath of the child grew shallower, weaker. The mother rocked him gently, whispering soft words of comfort in her alien tongue. But deep inside, fear clawed at her heart. Then it came. A sound at first, so faint. She thought it was only the wind, but no, the rhythm was wrong. It was footsteps, slow, heavy, crunching against the frozen ground. The mother's head snapped up. Her sharp alien eyes scanned the darkness. She saw movement in the distance. Figure, tall and strange, walking toward the weak glow of the fire. Her breath froze in her throat. Her arms tightened around her child. Her heart pounded so loudly she feared it would wake the predators of the night. Who or what was coming? The figure moved slowly, carefully, as if testing the ground. A faint glow trailed with it, like a small lantern. The mother had never seen such a thing before. Her people had only fire. But this was no fire. It was steady, glowing with strange energy. Her instincts screamed danger. She pulled her child closer, ready to shield him with her body if needed. Her entire being shook with terror, but she would not let anything take her child. The figure stopped. It stood just beyond the circle of light cast by her dying fire. For a long, breathless moment, they stared at each other through the shadows. The mother's eyes narrowed. The figure was tall, broad-shouldered, and wrapped in strange clothing. Its face was hidden behind a mask, its head covered with a strange shell. It did not look like her kind. It did not belong to this world. The child whimpered softly, breaking the silence. The figure tilted its head, as if listening. Then, slowly, carefully raised one hand. The mother flinched back. Her sharp nails dug into the frozen ground. But the figure did not attack. It only held its hand open, palm facing her, as if to say, "I mean no harm." Her eyes darted between the hand and the glowing light the stranger carried. Was this a trick? A trap? The figure took one slow step forward. The mother hissed in warning, a low growl rumbling from her throat. She was weak, but she would fight if she had to. The figure froze again, as if understanding her fear. Then, slowly, it bent down and set something on the ground. A small container. The figure pushed it forward with its hand, then stepped back. The mother frowned. Her eyes locked on the strange object. Steam rose from it. She smelled something warmth. Food. Her stomach twisted with hunger. For days she had eaten nothing, giving every scrap to her child. Her body begged her to reach for it, but her heart screamed caution. The figure waited in silence. Standing still like a statue, the fire crackled weakly, the last flames shrinking. The cold pressed in harder. The child shivered violently, his tiny body racked with chills. The mother's heart broke at the sight. Her eyes flicked back to the container. The smell was strong now, rich, warm, unfamiliar, but life-giving. Finally, with trembling hands, she reached out. She pulled the container closer and looked inside. Steam clouded her face, and her eyes widened. Strange food, unlike anything she had ever seen. But her instincts told her it was safe. She tore off a small piece and placed it against her child's lips. At first, he was too weak to react. But then, slowly, he swallowed. His body stirred. His eyes opened for just a moment. The mother gasped, tears filling her eyes. Relief, hope, fear all mixed together. The figure took another careful step forward. The mother looked up, locking eyes with the stranger's mask. For the first time, she saw it more clearly. Behind the glass visor were human eyes, tired but kind. The stranger slowly removed his outer jacket. Without a word, he placed it on the ground and pushed it toward her. A gesture of warmth, of life. The mother hesitated. She did not understand. This being, she did not trust him. But her child was freezing. She could see his small body trembling. Fading with a heavy breath, she pulled the jacket closer. She wrapped it around her child. The fabric was thick, filled with strange warmth. For the first time in many nights, the boy's trembling slowed. The mother's eyes met the stranger's once again. Her lips parted, but no words came. Her language would not reach him. His language would not reach her. Yet, somehow through action, through silence, understanding began to form. The stranger knelt slowly, keeping his distance, but lowering himself to her level. He set down another container of food, then pointed at the fire. He pulled something from his pack, a small stick, glowing at the tip. He pressed it to the embers. Instantly, the fire blazed back to life. The mother's eyes widened in awe. People had always struggled to make fire. But this stranger? He carried fire in his hands. Her fear remained, but for the first time. It was not stronger than hope. The child stirred again, weak, but alive. The mother held him close, her heart torn between suspicion and gratitude. She did not know who this stranger was or why he was here, but one truth was clear. Without him, her child would already be lost. The night was not safe, not yet. Shadows still moved in the distance, and the cold wind howled. But in the circle of firelight, for the first time, she was not alone. The stranger had come, and with him, the story of survival had taken a new turn. The human arrival, the fire burned brighter now. No longer a dying spark, but a living flame. The alien mother sat close, holding her child wrapped in the thick jacket the stranger had given. The boy's breathing was still weak, but steadier than before. For the first time in many nights, his body was not shaking uncontrollably. The mother lifted her gaze toward the figure sitting across from her. He had removed part of his mask, revealing a human face. His skin was pale from the cold, his lips cracked, his eyes shadowed by exhaustion. Yet there was something in his expressions, something gentle. The mother had never seen a human before. She did not know what this creature was, where he came from, or what his true purpose might be. But the firelight revealed no threat in his eyes, only quiet determination. The man reached into his pack again. Slowly, carefully, he pulled out a silver pouch. He tore it open and steam rose, carrying the smell of hot food. He stirred it with a small spoon, then placed it near the mother. Pointing at the child, the meaning was clear. Feed him. The mother hesitated. She stared at the food, then at the human. What if it was poison? What if this was some trick? But her child whimpered weakly, and her heart made the decision for her. She dipped her fingers into the warm mixture and placed a little on the boy's lips. At first, the child did not react. Then, slowly, his tongue moved. He swallowed. A faint sound escaped his throat, something close to a sigh. The mother's eyes filled with tears. Hope returned like a flame inside her chest. She looked at the human again. This time, she did not see a stranger. She saw help. That the human nodded once, as if he understood her silent gratitude. Then he sat back, pulling his own small container. Of food, he ate quickly, but without waste, every bite precise. The mother watched him, studying his movements. This creature was not like her kind. His hands were rough, his tools strange, his clothing strong against the cold. Everything about him spoke of another world. The silence between them was heavy, but not hostile. The only sounds were the crackle of fire, the distant howl of the wind, and the soft breathing of the child. After a while, the human took out another object, a small, glowing device. He pressed it, and light projected from it. A screen lit up with maps, strange symbols she could not understand. He frowned, tapping at the device, muttering softly in his own language. The mother tilted her head, watching closely. She could not read his words, but she recognized his frustration. He was lost. Her people had roamed these frozen lands for generations. She knew the paths, the dangers, the hiding places. She realized in that moment that he needed her as much as she needed him. The child stirred in her arms, his small voice whispering faintly. She stroked his face gently, whispering back. Human watched quietly, his eyes softening. He could not understand the words, but he understood the feeling. Love needed no language. Then suddenly, the wind carried another sound, a distant growl, low, deep, and hungry. The mother stiffened instantly. Her heart raced. She knew that sound too well. The predators were near. The human reacted fast. He snapped his mask back into place, pulled a weapon from his side, and stood. It was a strange device, long, metallic, humming with energy. He scanned the darkness, his body tense, ready. The mother's blood turned cold. She clutched her child, tighter, her eyes darting to the shadows. The beasts that lived in this land were merciless. They hunted in packs, their eyes glowing in the dark. She had faced them before. Alone, she had barely survived. Now, with her child weak in her arms, escape was impossible. The fire crackled, the shadows deepened, and pairs of glowing eyes appeared in the distance. The predators had arrived. The human raised his weapon, his finger steady on the trigger. A low hum grew louder, a strange blue light gathering at the end of the device. The mother had never seen such power before. Her breath caught in her throat. The predators snarled, circling closer. Their bodies were sleek, their teeth sharp, their claws scraping the frozen ground. They moved with the silence of shadows, their hunger burning in their glowing eyes. The mother whispered softly to her child, pressing his head against her chest. She prepared herself to fight, to sacrifice, to do whatever she could. But deep inside, she knew this battle would not be hers. The human stood tall, his weapon glowing brighter. He was outnumbered, outmatched, yet he did not step back. His eyes locked on the beasts, his stance unshaken. In that moment, the mother realized something powerful. This human was not here only by chance. He was not only a lost traveler, he was a fighter, a protector, and perhaps, he was their only hope. The predators growled louder, their bodies ready to strike. The night thickened. With danger, the firelight trembling under the weight of fear, the mother's heart pounded as she held her child close. The human's weapon lit up like lightning in the storm. The battle for survival was about to begin. The silent bond, the predators circled the firelight, their glowing eyes like cruel stars in the dark. The mother held her child close, her heartbeat racing like thunder in her chest. Across from her, the human stood ready, weapon raised, his stance steady despite the freezing air. The beasts hissed, their sharp teeth catching the firelight. For a moment, time seemed to freeze two fragile lives on one side. a lone human warrior on the other, and death waiting all around. Then it happened. The first predator leaped forward, jaws wide, claws slicing through the night. The human's weapon roared with light. A blast of energy cut through the darkness, striking the beast midair. It fell hard, its body smoking, its snarl silenced. The mother gasped. She had never seen such power. Fire and lightning together held in the hands of this stranger, but the others did not retreat. They were many, their hunger stronger than fear. Another lunge, then another. The human moved fast, firing again and again. Bright flashes filled the night, echoing like thunder across the frozen land. The mother shielded her child with her body, crouching low. Her heart told her to run, but her legs could not move. She was trapped yet. She was not alone. The battle raged. The human's weapons struck true, but the beasts were clever. One slipped behind, rushing toward the mother. Her instincts flared. With her free hand, she grabbed a sharp stone from the ground and hurled it. The rock struck the predator's head, knocking it sideways. The human turned instantly, firing a shot that finished it. For a heartbeat, their eyes met hers wide with fear, his sharp with focus. In that moment, she realized something. They were fighting together. The final predator snarled, circling the edge of the firelight. Its body was larger, its eyes brighter. The leader of the pack, the human's weapon hummed with power, but the mother could see his shoulders trembling. He was growing tired. The beast charged. The human braced himself, firing a blazing shot. The predator stumbled but did not fall. It lunged closer, jaws snapping. At the last second, the mother threw a burning branch from the fire. Flames struck the beast's face. It shrieked, blinded. The human took his chance. One final shot, direct and deadly. The beast collapsed, smoke rising from its body. The night fell silent again. The mother's chest heaved, her arms still clutching her child. The firelight flickered over the battlefield bodies of predators lying still. Their threat finally ended. The human lowered his weapon. He breathed heavily, his body shaking from the fight. Slowly, he stepped closer to the fire. He sat down. Across from the mother, his head bowed, exhaustion heavy in his eyes. The mother studied him. He had fought like a warrior, but not for himself. He had protected them, her and her child, without hesitation. And yet, they had no words to share. She wanted to thank him, but her language would be nothing more than strange sounds to him. He wanted to reassure her, but his voice would not reach her heart, so they spoke in silence. The human placed his weapon aside, showing he was not a threat. The mother loosened her grip, just slightly, allowing the child to rest against the human's thick jacket. Their eyes met across the fire. No words, no translation, only understanding. The human reached into his pack and pulled out another small blanket. He unfolded it slowly, then extended it toward her. She hesitated. Trust was not easy, but the warmth of the jacket on her child reminded her his actions were true. She took the blanket, wrapping it around herself. For the first time that night, her body stopped shivering. Her eyes softened. The human smiled, faintly tired, but real. It was a smile she did not fully understand. Yet it carried warmth beyond language. The child stirred, opening his eyes weakly. His gaze shifted from his mother to the human. For a brief moment, the boy's lips curved upward, the ghost of a smile. The mother's heart swelled. Her child was still alive, and it was because of the stranger sitting before them. The fire crackled softly, the night wind easing for a while. The predators were gone, but danger was never far on this world. Still, in this fragile circle of warmth, an invisible bond had been formed. Not by words, not by promises, but by survival. The mother lowered her head in a small nod, her way of saying thank you. The human watched her carefully, then gave a small nod in return. Two different beings, two different worlds, but one shared truth: they needed each other. The silence between them was no longer heavy with fear. It was filled with something new, something fragile but powerful. A connection. The child drifted into sleep, his breathing steadier than before. The mother smoothed his hair, her eyes glistening. She whispered softly, though she knew the human could not understand. "You saved us." The human, hearing the tone, if not the words, understood. The night was still dangerous. The journey ahead, uncertain. But for the first time since the freezing darkness began, the mother felt that survival was possible. Not because she was strong enough. Not because she had fire or food, but because, in the shadows of a cruel world, she was no longer alone. The thread approaches the fire burned brighter now. But its light could not push away the feeling of danger that lingered in the frozen air. The alien mother held her child close, watching as he slept with steadier breaths. Across the flames, the human sat quietly, his weapon beside him, his eyes half closed with exhaustion. The silence of the night felt uneasy, too quiet, too heavy. The mother knew this silence. It was the silence before predators struck again. Her sharp ears twitched. The wind carried faint sounds, cracks of ice, the crunch of snow. Not near the fire, but not far either. Something was moving in the distance. She tensed, pulling the blanket tighter around her child. The human noticed her stiff posture. His tired eyes sharpened at once. Slowly, without a word, he picked up his weapon. The mother pointed toward the shadows, her hand trembling slightly. The human followed her gesture, narrowing his eyes. He could not see clearly, but his instincts told him she was right. The fire crackled, sending sparks into the air. The shadows beyond the circle of light seemed alive, shifting and stretching. Then came the sound low, deep, rumbling. A growl. The mother's blood turned cold. These were not the smaller predators they had faced earlier. This sound belonged to something larger, something stronger, something that hunted not alone, but with a pack. The human rose to his feet. He adjusted his mask, gripping his weapon tight. His body was tense but calm, like a soldier trained for war. The mother stood too, though her body still ached from cold and weakness. She could not fight like him, but she would not let her child be taken. The growls grew louder. Shapes began to appear in the distant stall, broad, with glowing eyes, like burning coals. At least 4 of them, maybe more. The child stirred, whimpering softly. The mother pressed her hand over his back, whispering comfort. But her eyes never left the shadows. The human glanced at her, then at the child. He spoke in his language, short, urgent words she could not understand. Yet his meaning was clear. Stay low, protect him. She nodded once. The first beast stepped into the firelight. It was huge, its fur bristling, its teeth glistening with frost. The ground shook with its heavy steps. Behind it, more shadows moved, their eyes glowing with hunger. The mother's heart raced. She had faced danger before, but never like this. Even her people's warriors would have run from such a pack. But the human did not run. He lifted his weapon, the hum of energy filling the night. The beasts snarled, circling slowly, testing their prey. The mother crouched low, holding her child. Under the blanket, she grabbed a sharp stick from the fire, her only weapon. She was no warrior, but she would fight if the beasts broke through. The first attack came suddenly. One of the predators lunged from the side, faster than the eye could follow. The human spun, firing a bolt of light. The beast shrieked, falling back into the snow. The others roared in fury. They rushed forward together, teeth snapping, claws tearing the ground. The human fought with precision. Each shot was quick, each movement sharp. Bright flashes lit up the night as the weapon thundered again and again. 2 beasts fell, their bodies smoking. But the pack did not stop. More circled. More growled. Their hunger was stronger than fear. The mother's breath came fast. She pressed her child close, whispering prayers in her language. She could only watch as the human fought, his strength tested against impossible odds. Then one beast broke through. It slipped past the blasts, rushing straight toward her. Its jaws opened wide, eyes blazing. The mother screamed, holding her child tight. In desperation, she thrust the burning stick forward. Flames licked the beast's face, making it snarl and stumble. She struck again, her hands trembling but fierce. The human turned at the sound. In one swift motion, he fired. The beast fell. At her feet, its body twitching before going still. The mother's chest heaved, her arms locked around her child. She looked up at the human, her eyes wide with shock and gratitude. He gave a quick nod before turning back to the fight. The battle raged on. Each blast from the human's weapon lit the night like lightning. Each roar of the beasts shook the ground like thunder. The mother could only crouch in the firelight, guarding her child, her heart pounding with every second. The predators were strong, but the human was stronger. One by one, the beasts fell. Their snarls turned to whimpers. Their glowing eyes dimmed. At last, the survivors fled into the darkness, their shapes vanishing into the frozen night. Silence returned. The human lowered his weapon, his breath heavy, his shoulders trembling. He staggered slightly, but he did not fall. His eyes scanned the shadows, making sure the danger was truly gone. The mother slowly rose, still clutching her child. She looked at the human with awe. He was unlike anyone she had ever known. Yet standing against an army of death, the fire flickered, smoke drifting into the sky. The ground was littered with fallen predators. The scent of battle hung in the frozen air. The mother's heart was still racing, but inside it, something new had taken root. Not just fear, not just survival, trust. For the first time, she trusted this stranger. Her eyes met his across the fire. No words were spoken, but the bond between them grew stronger. They were not just survivors anymore. They were allies, and the night still had many more dangers to come. The battle of Trust the Night was not silent anymore. The frozen ground was littered with fallen predators, their bodies steaming in the cold air. The fire burned weakly, sending small sparks upward, as if afraid to fight the darkness any longer. The alien mother stood near the flames, holding her child close to her chest. The boy's breaths were shallow, but he still lived. That was all that mattered. Her eyes shifted to the human, who stood a short distance away, his weapon still in his hands. His shoulders trembled with exhaustion, but the danger was not over. The mother's sharp ears caught the sound first. Heavy steps, deeper growls. From the shadows came new shapes, larger, heavier, stronger. The true hunters of the night had arrived. The earlier beasts had only been scouts. Now the pack leaders had come. Her stomach tightened with dread. These were the monsters her people had always feared, the ones whispered about in stories told to children. They did not just hunt for food. They hunted for domination. The human also heard them. He adjusted his stance, gripping his weapon tightly. The hum of energy returned, glowing faintly at the tip. He glanced at the mother and then at her child. His meaning was clear. Protect him, no matter what happens. The mother's eyes burned with fear and defiance. She nodded once. The first beast stepped into the firelight. It was taller than the human, with thick black fur and jaws that could crush stone. Its eyes glowed red in the dark. Another followed, then another. The pack leaders were here, circling slowly, confident in their strength. The human raised his weapon and fired. A bright flash split the night. One beast staggered but did not fall. These monsters were tougher, their hides like armor. The others roared and charged. The human fired again and again, but his blasts did not kill as quickly this time. He moved back, circling the fire, dodging snapping jaws and swinging claws. Sparks flew as his weapons struck beast after beast, but still, they kept coming. The mother crouched low, placing her child on a small blanket near the fire. She whispered softly to him, telling him not to be afraid. Then she grabbed a sharp rock in one hand, a burning branch in the other. Her body trembled, but her spirit did not break. One of the beasts lunged toward the child. The mother's blood froze. She screamed and rushed forward, swinging the burning branch. Flames scorched the beast's face, making it shriek in rage. It turned on her massive jaws opening. Before it could strike, the human appeared, slamming his shoulder into the beast. They both crashed to the ground. The human fired point blank, the blast tearing through the monster's skull. It fell still. The mother gasped, her chest heaving. She looked at the human. He had saved them again, but the fight was not over. Another beast leaped at him from behind. The mother reacted without thinking. She threw the sharp rock with all her strength. It struck the creature's eye, making it howl in pain. The human spun around and fired, finishing it off. For a moment, their eyes locked in the firelight. They did not speak the same language, but their actions spoke louder than words. They were no longer strangers. They were a team. The largest beast remained the leader. It was massive, its roar shaking the ground. Its eyes glowed brighter than the rest, filled with hunger and fury. It circled them slowly, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The human steadied his weapon, but his hands shook. He was tired, his energy running low. The mother saw it. She knew he could not do this alone. She stepped forward, standing beside him. Her body was small compared to his, fragile compared to the beast, but her eyes were fierce. She held the burning branch high, her grip unyielding. The human glanced at her, surprised. Then, slowly, he nodded. The beast roared and charged. The human fired, the blast striking its chest. The monster stumbled but kept coming. The mother rushed forward, thrusting the burning branch into its face. Flames licked its eyes, blinding it. It swung its massive claws, striking the ground inches. From her she fell back, breathless but alive. The human moved fast. With the beast distracted, he aimed at its head. His weapon glowed brighter than ever before, humming with deadly power. He pulled the trigger. The blast exploded with blinding light. When the smoke cleared, the beast lay still, its body broken. Silence returned at last. The human collapsed to one knee, his chest heaving. The mother rushed to her child, lifting him into her arms. He stirred faintly, his eyes opening just enough to see her face. Relief washed over her. He was alive. She turned toward the human. He was exhausted, his face pale, but he gave a faint smile. The mother's eyes softened. She stepped closer, bowing her head slightly, a gesture of respect and gratitude. For the first time in her life, she trusted a creature not of her world. Not because of his words, not because of promises, but because he had fought with her, side by side. The battle was not only against the beasts, it was against fear, against doubt, against the walls between them, and in that battle, they had won. Together, the fire burned brighter, as if celebrating their survival. The night was still cold, the future still uncertain. But the bond between mother and stranger had grown unbreakable. They were no longer just survivors. They were partners in the fight for life. The new, Hope the night was finally quiet. The bodies of the predators lay scattered across the frozen ground, their glowing eyes dark forever. The fire burned steady now, no longer weak, but strong and alive. Its light danced across the figures of the mother, the child, and the human who had fought through the endless darkness. The alien mother sat close to the fire, her child in her arms. His chest rose and fell slowly, each breath stronger than before. His eyes flickered open, and for the first time in many nights, they stayed open longer than a few moments. The mother's heart swelled with relief. She whispered softly in her own tongue, words of love and comfort. The boy blinked, his gaze shifting toward the stranger sitting across the flames. The human was exhausted. His weapon lay at his side, silent and cooling. His body trembled from fatigue, his face pale beneath the cracked mask. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, staring at the fire as though it was the only thing keeping him upright. The mother studied him. He was unlike anything she had ever known. Strange clothes, strange tools, strange power. Yet he had risked everything, not only for himself, but for her and her child. Her people had always told stories of the skybeams who lived among the stars, who would never care for them, who saw them only as weak and unworthy. But here, now, in this frozen wasteland, a stranger from the stars had given them life. The child stirred, coughing weakly. The mother held him close, panic flashing in her eyes. The human lifted his head at once. Slowly, he reached into his pack and pulled out a small box. He opened it, revealing strange instruments and small vials of liquid. The mother tensed. She did not understand what these things were. Fear gripped her. What if this was dangerous? But then she looked at her child, his fragile body shaking in her arms. She looked back at the human, whose eyes were steady and kind, his hand extended toward the boy, but he did not force. He waited for her trust. Her heart battled with doubt. Trusting a stranger was dangerous, but not trusting him could mean losing her child forever. Her fingers tightened around her son. Then, slowly, she gave a small nod. The human moved gently. He cleaned the boy's skin, then injected a small dose of medicine. The child whimpered for a moment, then grew calm. His breathing steadied. His body relaxed. His eyelids fluttered. Not from weakness this time, but from rest. The mother's eyes filled with tears. She stroked her son's face, whispering his name. He was alive, truly alive. She lifted her gaze to the human. For a moment, words caught in her throat. She wanted to speak, to tell him what his actions meant, but her language would not reach him. Instead, she placed her hand over her chest, then slowly extended it toward him. The human watched, then mirrored the gesture hand to chest, then out. Two beings from different worlds, speaking without words. The fire crackled, sending sparks into the sky. The child slept peacefully, wrapped in the human's thick jacket. The mother covered him gently, then sat back, her body finally able to rest. She leaned against a rock, her eyes closing halfway. For the first time in endless nights, she did not fear sleep. The human remained awake, scanning the shadows. He was exhausted, but he stayed alert, guarding the fire, guarding them. Hours passed, the stars shifted. The night began to fade. When the first light of dawn touched the frozen horizon, the world looked different. The snow glistened under the pale sun. The endless darkness broke into color-soft blues, gentle silvers. The mother opened her eyes, blinking at the sight. She had survived another night. Her child had survived another night. And it was because of him, the stranger from the stars. The human rose to his feet slowly, stretching stiff muscles. He looked toward the horizon, then back at the mother and child. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes held something new purpose. The mother followed his gaze. She did not know where he came from or where he wished to go. But deep in her heart, she knew this was not the end. Their paths were now tied together. The boy awoke, blinking at the morning light. He reached out with a small hand, touching the human's jacket still wrapped around him. His lips curved faintly, a fragile smile. The human smiled back. It was tired, but real. The mother watched this moment, and her heart broke and healed all at once. She had burned her clothes, she had given everything, and still it had not been enough. But when hope was gone, when she was ready to surrender to the cold, help had come. Not from her people, not from her world, but from a stranger. The dawn grew brighter, the fire's glow fading in the daylight. The predators had retreated, for now. The world was still harsh, still unforgiving. But in the warmth of the fire, and in the bond between mother, child, and human, something new had been born. Hope, not the fragile hope of waiting, but the strong hope of survival. A future. The mother looked at the human and gave another small nod. He nodded back. They did not need words. Their bond was already stronger than language. Together, they turned toward the horizon. The frozen land stretched on, endless and dangerous. But for the first time, the path ahead did not feel impossible, because now they would face it not as strangers, but as family forged by fire, battle, and trust. And in the heart of the coldest night, they had found the rarest warmth,